Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Shantae back with another episode of Chatting with Shantae. How in the world are y'all doing? Me, I am doing fabulous because today is Shy Sunday and we back with another recap. That didn't rhyme. Anyway, but yes, y'all, the new episode of The Shy, season 4, episode 3, Native Son. It's actually been out since last night, which is when I watched it, but it's Shy Sunday, so everybody else is watching it. I think now, what time is it? Yep, 9:37, so it's still on. So, as usual, let me give my disclaimer. If you haven't watched the episode just yet, pause this, go watch it, come back, because your girl don't do spoiler free, and I don't want to hear nobody say, I ruined it, I spoiled it, I should have waited to review it. Nope. But if you have already watched it and you're ready to hear my thoughts, because we got some things to talk about. This episode had me stuck. Then keep on watching, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, so that way you'll be notified when your new favorite diva, me, uploads a video. So let's get comfortable, because like I said, we got some things to discuss. Listen, they wilding, all right? It's only the 3rd episode, and they are wilding. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes here, as usual. So we're gonna try to get through this. It's almost 10 o'clock, and you know, I be a little slurred a little bit, okay? I be getting sleepy, so we're gonna pray that we smooth. All right. So, you know, I'm going to take it storyline by storyline or character by character. Don't really go in the order of which the show went, but that's okay. So let's start with Kev, Jake, and Gemma. So again, with this storyline, for sure, they're really setting up everything to see why Jake and Gemma felt the need to go ahead and kiss, and, you know, how they're growing closer and how she's kind of detaching from Kev, the way he's acting and things like that. So Kev and Jake both got ISS, which is in school suspension, because they were both wilding at that college tour. Jake was given or getting some, you know, at the college tour from, side note, I know the last episode or last video I called her Nicole. I thought her name was Nicole, but her name was Dakota. Anyway, but yeah, so he's in trouble for that. And then Kev's in trouble because, well, he was high and drunk. And my thing is, shouldn't they be getting a harsher punishment? I mean, we talking about sex, we talking about drugs, we talking about alcohol. Because even though y'all weren't on school grounds, y'all were still representing the school. Never mind. Anyway, so they both got ISS. So Kevin's in there eating his cereal, trying to mind his own business. And Nina comes in with this piece of paper, and she has lines drawn on them. And she's like, each line represents a year of your life. And Kevin's like, Lord, I'm just trying to eat my cereal. What do you want? And so basically Nina's explaining to her, or excuse me, to him, that this point where you're at right now, and for the next few years, if you work hard now, you'll have it much easier later on in life, versus if you slack off now, you'll be trying to make up and pay for it later on in life. So Kev is like, well, you know, folks like Oprah and Allen Iverson or whomever, you know, they messed up pretty bad, but, you know, we know who they are. So Nina's like, you low-key got a point, but I ain't gonna tell you that. So fast forward, they're both in ISS, and you can still tell there's a little bit of tension between them. I mean, granted, they're in ISS, so they shouldn't be talking anyway, but you can tell not much has improved since, you know, they last spoke, whenever that was, or especially since the last episode. Granted, they had like a nice little moment the last episode, but nothing major to where they, you know, their friendship will be back to normal. I can guarantee that their friendship will not be back the way it was, especially after what happens with Jake and Gemma in the upcoming episodes. But right now, you can just see Kevin really pulling away from everybody, which I get it, but I don't at the same time. So they're in there just bored as can be. And the teacher, white guy, he's basically like, I hate what happened to y'all, okay? I'm on y'all's side. I'm not one of them. I'm one of the good ones. And I'm just like, why do you feel the need to say all of that? You know, so because you said all that, I'm gonna be looking at you like you are one of them. But they're just ready to go. So he's like, let's make a deal, because I still gotta, you know, have proof that y'all were in here and doing some work. So how about y'all both write me a 1-page essay about what happened and just reflecting and expressing how y'all felt, and y'all can leave early. So Kev was like, for sure. So he starts writing his essay, and Jake is like, nah, I'm good. And I don't know if it's because, he's really nonchalant. He's like, nah, I ain't doing all that. Or if it's because he really is trying to get what happened out of his head. Like, he's not trying to mention it and think about it, at every angle. So, because you would think he would do anything to get up out of ISS quickly, but maybe because of the subject matter and what he would have to write about is triggering, which is to be understood. So later on, we see them in the hallway. Gemma goes up to Kev wanting to interview him for the school announcements and stuff. She does interviews and stuff like that. So he flat out tells her, nah, I'm good. Nope, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. I ain't doing all that. Takes his paper and dips. And I'm just like, all right, time out, flag on the play. Kevin, what's really the issue? Because listen, granted, the police brutality is a big issue, okay? And you were heavily affected by it. But why are you taking all this anger out on Gemma? What did she do? Like, what did she truly do to be deserving all of this? Okay, you were ignoring her the first episode after the encounter, which is to be expected because it was fresh. And then y'all were on the bus and you shoved her off of you. You were getting the attitude. And then you told her that you were tired of hearing her talk. She's getting on your nerves. And it's like, and now this, all she wanted to do was interview you. And so, I mean, you could have said no, but you didn't have to do all that. You had to storm off. And you can see how hurt she was because she's one of those people that just keeps trying, and that's how we as women, we naturally are. We want to be your sense of comfort and peace, and we want y'all to open up and be vulnerable. Like, y'all, it's a safe space. But when you keep shutting us out, you can't expect us to be there at your beck and call. Like, you can't just be treating us all types of ways for so long and then want to be up in our face one minute acting like everything's okay. Like, that's not how that works. So she sees Jake and she's like, hey Jake. So she asks him if he can do the interview, and at first he's like, nah, I don't really want to talk about it, but then he agrees to do it. So we see them right before the interview starts. She's telling him everything's gonna be okay, you're gonna do great, I believe in you. And then she asks him, are you wearing cologne? I said, oh, snappy dappy, here we go. All right. So Kev's in the classroom with the other students watching the interview go on. And I guess Gemma asked Jake a question and it kind of had him stuck a little bit, or he was trying to gather his thoughts. So she reached over and rubbed his hand like, it's going to be okay. Take your time. And that just had Kev shook. He was just stressed. Okay. And if you remember, because I low-key forgot about this, if you remember in the first season, how Kev had a crush on this one girl and found out Jake ended up taking her to the movies. So Jake kind of has a slight track record when it comes to Kevin and his girlfriends or crushes. So when he saw that, he was just like, here we go again. Listen, I can't let this happen again. Nope, not with Gemma. So later on, Kevin's at home and he's texting Gemma like, hey, I miss you. What you doing? Girl, she read that message and that's it. Left him on red. I said, I know that's correct. Because listen, all I've been trying to do this whole time is love you, be there for you, console you, and things like that. And you're treating me like I'm the enemy. And you can't keep doing that. I understand that it's really weighing heavy on you, but you're not going to be treating me like I'm just some side piece off the street. Okay? So I'm going to give you some time to yourself. If you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to consult me or nothing, all right, I won't force it no more. And at this point, I just feel like, well, dog, you brought it on yourself. So let's get to Keisha real quick. So she's eating up all the junk food, okay? All the chips, all the cheese puffs, like the last episode. So she goes down there and gets some more snacks. And Nina's like, girl, if you're going to be eating up all the food, can you at least eat something healthy? If not for you, but for the baby. So Keisha's like, okay, whatever. So Keisha was talking to Emmett a little bit later in the episode. And Tiff brought the baby, EJ. And which was so funny because everybody was like, okay, where's the baby at? Now, granted, of course, because of COVID, they probably don't want babies and young children on the set, of course. But it was just funny how there was no mention, there was no sight of their child. And so she brought him from wherever he was and, was telling Emmett to watch him because she had errands to run. So Emmett walked off and did something, and Keisha was watching EJ play on the little arcade game, and she was having these moments like she was just watching and just thinking about the future of her baby, because again, she still hasn't found a family. She might be having excuse me, she might be having these second thoughts about whether or not she wants to give the baby up for adoption in general, or if she wants to keep the baby for herself. And you remember during her appointment, the last episode, that doctor said she had a healthy baby and asked if she wanted to know the sex, and she said no. So she was watching this little boy play, and I'm guessing it was putting her in her head like, oh, I wonder what it'd be like if I had a son, you know, or a daughter or whatever. So later we see her, you know, in her room crying and everything because she is truly confused about what to do. Like, she is just truly confused if she wants to give the baby up, if she wants to keep the baby, all that good stuff. So poor Keisha. Oh my goodness, poor Keisha. Because I know that feeling of when you're, you know, have your mind set on a certain decision and then something happens and you know, you kind of backtrack on it, or now you're just all types of discombobulated. So we're going to see how all that plays out. So let's get to Jada, Dre, and Nina again. So Nina wants everybody home for dinner at 7 o'clock because she's making her famous lasagna, and everybody's looking like, girl, it's not even good, but okay. So Keisha's upstairs, Kevin leaves for school, and then Dre is talking about how she has a meeting, so she'll try to get home. And Nina's like, I thought your work meetings were on Mondays or whatever. And she was like, oh yeah, they switched it or whatever. And I was like, well, we ain't finna do, because we already have enough hecticness and chaos and BS. We do not need no more cheating. That's one thing we don't need in this show. We need nothing but faithful relationships and the ones that's still going strong. So when she was kind of like, oh yeah, they switched the meeting times or whatever, I was like, nope. Because Drake, you're just not getting our good graces, because last season nobody was really rocking with you, nobody trusted you, so don't give us a reason to really not trust you. So I was like, Lord, don't let her be a cheater. But we find out that she is with Jada at Jada's appointment, because remember, we found out that Jada has cancer, and so the doctors explained to them all the treatment options and things like that. So Dre is telling Jada, listen, are you going to tell Emmett or Nina or Swade or whatever? Are you going to tell anybody? And Jada doesn't want anyone to know, at least not from anyone else. If they find out, she wants to be the one to tell them. So Jada's telling Dre, listen, do not tell Nina, because if you tell her, she's going to talk to the kids. More so Keisha. Keisha is, of course, going to check on Emmett because they're good friends. And if Jada hasn't told anybody, but everybody hears it from somebody else, it's going to be one big blow up. So, you know, Dre promises not to say anything, but she's like, you really should say something, because you know Nina has a third eye. Which, does she really? Because it'd be so much going on in that woman's house, and she just be, I would hit myself, but she just be out of the loop. I'm just like, girl. All right. But anyway, so I'm interested to see how that is going to play out, because Jada and Dre are really good friends. We found that out last season. They're really good friends, but Dre is Nina's wife. So it's like, and it's not that Dre is lying to Nina about anything. It's just she's not telling her something out of respect for her friend. So, and we see, you know, towards dinner time, Dre's on the phone kind of whispering and things like that, talking to Jada, because, you know, she agreed to take Jada to her chemo appointment and things like that. So she's going to be involved with Jada in that way, being a good friend. But to Nina, if she starts picking up on Dre's, you know, maybe coming home late or being secretive or not saying who she's talking to on the phone, it can look suspicious. So I'm just hoping that Nina doesn't think anything, or it doesn't get to that point to where it's going on and Jada's not saying something. Again, I understand why Jada wouldn't want anything to be said right now. And she even said it herself, because everybody whom she would want to know, they have a lot going on. Emmett and Tiff are going through their things, so she doesn't want to be a burden to them. Nina's too busy worried about Keisha and the baby, and then Kev acting out, so she doesn't want to be an extra burden to them. So I'm pretty sure we can all agree, we've been there. We don't want to add any extra stress to anyone's life. We don't want our problems to become everybody's problems. I understand, but I just hope that it doesn't get dragged out too long to where it caused a big rift in everyone's relationships, and, you know, people find out and they don't find out from her, you know. And one scene real quick, I didn't write this down, but one scene, Jada and Swade, well, Swade was in the bathroom or whatever, and she was there, and Emmett comes busting in because he, you know, upset about what's going on with Tiff, and she's like, boy, okay, I thought your key was only for emergency purposes, honey. I need you to call before you come over here. So they're trying to talk, and then Suede comes out. So we already know how Emmett feels about Suede and Jada, okay? Suede is only 2 years older than Emmett. He's not really rocking with the relationship. So he's telling Jada he gotta go. Tell him to get out. And Jada's like, no. I'm not going to do that. So Emmett's going off, okay? And Jada was trying to talk to him. She was like, I gotta tell you something. And he storms off. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out as well, because he's so upset about Suede and stuff like that, she couldn't even talk about what was bothering her. And it's making me wonder, does Suede know? Because she said out in the open, I have to tell you something. So I wonder if Suede knows, and then if he does know, how will Emmett take that as well? Like, you told him before me. Y'all see how all these different angles can come about? So again, I'm just really hoping that Jada figures out what she wants to do, and it goes from there, and everyone's able to hear it from her mouth. And I'm just hoping that Emmett, I just got this horrible thought. Oh my gosh. Listen, Jada's gonna pull through, okay? I love Jada. She's not going anywhere, period. I will direct message Lena, my doggone self, like, girl, you need to bring her back. Pull a Days of Our Lives and bring her back, because we ain't doing this. So I rebuke that. But I'm praying that Emmett doesn't start shutting his mom off, getting upset every time he sees her with Suede, and getting upset to where she can't express what's going on, and then it's too late. And then he sees what's going on and he feels bad because he was treating her like crap and going off every time he saw her with Suede and things like that, getting his own emotions involved, and then it's too late. But again, I rebuke that, because ain't nothing gonna happen to Jada. Lena, you heard that? Nothing's happening to her, correct? Correct. Don't even play with me. Anyway, so I'm interested to see how all that's gonna play out. But I just found that so funny when Dre was like, Nina has a third eye. Does she? Well, that thing's still closed, because it be stuff going on in her house and she don't even know it. I mean, Dre coming in, whispering on the phone for good reasons, but she whispered on the phone. Keisha in her room crying, Cam freaking out because Gemma ain't texting him back, and everybody came in and just act like nothing was wrong, and she can't sense nothing. You can't tell when your kid is crying, when your son is freaking out, and your wife over here whispering. Girl, all right, but she was adamant about that doggone lasagna. All right, girl, never mind. So let's switch gears to Trig, Imani, Rashad, and Nuck, okay? We're going to talk about Trig in another section too, but we're going to get them out of the way with this part here. So basically, Trig is ready for Rashad to go, all right? I'm not really sure how long he's been staying there at this point since the last episode, but the time he as in Rashad has been there, he hasn't done anything, okay? You staying in this person's house rent free, the least you could do is clean up. And that's what Trig was telling him, and Rashad was like, I ain't no maid. And I'm just like, okay, it's sounding real selfish, real ungrateful, real, you better pack your bags and get on up out of here. I'm letting you stay in my house rent free, and you can't wash a dish, a piece of clothing, you can't sweep, mop, dust, you can't do nothing. All right. And he's playing video games and smoking and stuff around Jake and saying some absurd things. And I'm just like, alrighty then. So Imani has her barbershop, or hair salon, and so she was down there with her friends doing one of them's hair. And Nuck, if you don't remember, he was in the last season. Keisha was supposedly hooking up with him and was supposed to meet him that night. She disappeared, and so everybody found that out, and Kevin and the boys went up over there, was like, I ain't leaving about my sister. And then Trig and Imani busted up in there looking for Keisha, and so Nuck is one of them bad guys. I ain't got time. But he brings one of his girls there, was talking about she needs to get her hair done. Imani's like, does she have an appointment? Like, who is she supposed to be? And Nuck is like, she don't need one. And then he starts smoking, and Imani's like, don't do that. So he keeps smoking and then throws a cigarette on the floor. I was like, okay. And so clearly Imani does not F with him, because especially after their last encounter when Trig and her busted up in his place looking for Keisha and things like that. And Imani saw the environment, what was going on and how they were treating those girls. And we all know she has like a history, like a connection with that. So it really hits home for her. So she ain't really mess with nobody who's involved with that stuff. So as she's washing the girl's hair and stuff, she's asking her questions and talking to her, and she can clearly see the girl needs help. So the girl's like, I'm not okay, I need help. She said that after Rashad and Nuck actually left. So Nuck and Rashad, they leave after Rashad was running some errands for Imani. So they're at the bar, and Nuck is like, girl, I don't see how you can work for Imani that bit. And so Rashad's like, she ain't that bad. I mean, she's bossy, but she cool. And so Nuck was like, basically, that ain't no woman, that's a man in a dress. And you could see the level of pissed Rashad was. He looked disgusted and he looked uncomfortable. It was a lot of emotions going on just in his facial expression, because he was flirting real hard with Imani the last episode. And that whole encounter trumped my theory of Imani and Rashad knowing each other. I swore up and down that Imani and Rashad knew each other from jail or a past life, but they didn't want Trey to know, so they was playing it cool, like, hey, how you doing? He had no idea. So I am praying, because I love Imani's character too. Listen, Imani, okay, will whoop your ass in some 6-inch heels, honey. I'm here for Imani. Love Imani. But I'm just praying that Rashad doesn't say anything too crazy, because we already have Duda doing that. And I pray he doesn't do anything, you know, because he feels threatened, or not threatened, but he feels like his masculinity is being tested, or I don't know. I wonder how he's gonna, you know, if he's gonna say something to Trig, if he's gonna be, you know, saying stuff to him or whatever. And it's really making me think about that montage they played in the first episode when we saw Imani throw clothes at a guy and was saying F you. And it's looking like it could be Rashad. I don't know. And one more thing about Imani before we move on. Again, the girl needs help. So Imani so desperately wants to help the girl, because again, she has a big heart for, you know, sex trafficking and girls being abused and stuff like that, because she was a part of that world. So she's telling her friends she wants to help the girl. They're like, girl, because if we go over there and try and get involved, something could happen to you, something could happen to us. No. So then she tells Trig that she wants to help one of, you know, Nuck's girls, and he's like, no, if she really wanted to get out of that situation, she could. And Imani's like, it's not that easy, but since you feel that way, you can sleep your ass on the couch, sir. I was like, ooh, all right, sis. So that's that on that. Now let's get to Emmett, Tiff, Dom, and a little bit of Darnell. The storyline of storylines, child. So we all know the night before, Tiff, I don't know why I drew a blank. Tiff, she was out with Dante, okay, and she had sex with him. And so I want to call him Jacob Lattimore. I always do. Emmett, she was waiting up for her, so she finally comes home, and he asks her, well, where the hell you been? And she's like, I know you better take that bass out your voice. You don't have a right to question me. And I was like, ooh. So he was like, where you been? And she's like, well, one of my clients. Which one? Dante. Did you have sex with him? I sure did. And he gave me better head than you. I said, oh, I see what type of episode this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. I see. All right. So then she goes and gets in the shower, which I didn't even realize sis didn't even wash up, clean up, nothing before leaving Emmett and then going to Dante. She did nothing. She pulled her same drawers up, went over to Dante's house and was like, what's good? Ugh. Sorry. I didn't even realize that until everybody was like, so she just gonna, you know, stop having sex, raw sex with her husband midway, put her same clothes on, and then go to Dante and then have So he's standing outside the bathroom door, and his whole thing is like, did he at least pull out? Because the last thing we need is a situation where you get pregnant and you don't know who the daddy is. And I was like, very true. It's like all the things that we were saying after the last episode, they put it out there. So everybody was like, yeah, that's pretty true. You know, either pregnancy or some sort of incurable disease or whatever that, you know. So she's like, well, I mean, you know, I don't know if he pulled out. I mean, we both came so many times, it was hard to remember. And she walked off. And I'm like, so she's really being petty. She's really hitting them where it hurts, because what man wants to hear about how another man had his woman going crazy? No man, no woman wants to hear that either. But you know, men, they for sure don't want to hear about another man putting it down with his woman, especially right after he put it down. Never mind, child, never mind. So Emmett leaves and he's at work hella early. So Dom comes asking him what's up, because she's trying to joke with him and he's real quiet. So she he tells her that she told Tiff. And so she's like, oh shit, now she gonna be mad at me. You don't say. You don't say, Dominique. You're real smart. Duh. And so she's like, it's bad enough. I already don't have enough female friends as it is. Is it because you sleep with their men, sis? Is that what it is? Is that a reason? Could that play a part in it? Girl, anyway. So, yeah. So, Emmett's telling her that Tiff is messing around with her client Dante, and she's like, Dante? Not Dante. I know him from way back. He the one who taught me how to do this edible stuff. And so Emmett get mad. You effing him too? Well, even if she was, what they gotta do with you? I mean, she's not, you know, she was like, that's more like my play cousin, please. But the way he asked that, you effing him too? Okay, well, what she does is none of your business, to be quite honest, sir. So what? So we find out that Dom and Tiff have this edible tasting. So they're there. Well, Dom is there setting up with Darnell. He's eating up all the weed, fruits or whatever it is, the edibles and stuff before the event even starts. And Dom's telling him to chill. So Tiff comes and he leaves them alone. And you can already just sense the tension. It's suffocating. It's closing in on everybody. It's like, oh snap. I just knew Tiffany was finna go up to her, and I knew it. But they just look at each other like it's an elephant in the room, but who gonna be the one to bring it up? So they're talking a little bit about the event and how they both feel about it. And then Dom asks her, are we cool? You know, saying it without saying it, like, we cool, right? And Tiff's like, yeah, we cool. You know what? I spent too much time being mad, and I realized being mad don't get me nowhere. So yeah, we cool. Just don't mess with him no more. I was like, okay, well, that didn't go the way I thought it was, but hey. So I thought she would be a little bit more, upset, because, you know, Dom's been in her house and they've been, you know, kikiing and going into business together, only to find out that this woman that you know, that's been in your face and in your home was smashing your husband. Well, I ain't gonna say smashing as if they continue to do it. It was that one time, but still, but I think I get where Tiff is coming from. You just get to a point where you just can't be mad no more. You spent so much time being mad, and it just gets you nowhere. The person doesn't change, the situation ain't changing, and you just still mad and stressed out. So I get where she's coming from. So at the edible tasting, Tiff's two friends, a gay couple, they come up to her and they're talking like, ooh, she's glowing, honey. So Tiff is like, yeah, I got me some, but it wasn't from Emmett. So they're basically putting in her ear like, listen, y'all might as well have an open marriage. I mean, you know, y'all both gonna be sneaking around. Y'all might as well do it to the knowledge of the other person. So it won't be sneaking around, but y'all be able to do what y'all want to do. And so Tiff is like, is that how it works for y'all? And, you know, they were like, yeah, that's how it has to work for us. So at first she's kind of like, I don't really think that would be whatever. But then she keeps thinking about it, and she presents that idea to Emmett and is like, we should have an open marriage. Emmett's like, what? That's stupid. No. And she's like, listen, I mean, if you're gonna be sneaking around, I'm gonna be doing what I want to do. We might as well have an open marriage, you know, until we both figure out what we really want to do. And, you know, she's like, what if you get eyes for, you know, catch eyes for someone else? And she's like, I only have eyes for you. And then she's like, well, what if another nigga catch my eyes? Then what? Am I supposed to say no? I'm like, okay, Tiff. Lord. So he's like, you know, whatever. Okay, this ain't gonna end well at all. We can see from the preview of the next episode, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it ain't gonna end well. Because I feel like with open relationships, marriages, both people that's initially involved, they both have to come into that already open to do it. Already open to it. Can't be one person who's a swinger or into that, and then you get one person who's not into it. You trying to persuade that person. Nope, it's not going to end well. You always going to have one person who's into it more than the other person, but the other person's not saying nothing. But they don't want all this. They just want to be with that one person. We're going to see how that plays out. All right. Now, the funniest thing before we wrap up with them, like I just mentioned, Darnell was eating up all the stuff before the event even started. So he's sitting there tripping. Do you understand? He's sitting there tripping, the room spinning. So he's standing up on the couch. Hey, I got an announcement. I don't want to be high no more. I said, can someone take Darnell home? Who keeps inviting him to these events? Because he keeps messing them up. Can he stay home, please? Anyway, child. All right. Before we get to this last storyline, is this everything? Let me make sure. All right, honey. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Do you understand? So we got Trig, Tracy, Duda, Marcus, Rose, and Jamal. I know that's a lot, but hey, I don't know if my lighting is changing or if I've just been looking at it for too long. Hold on. I got a new ring light, y'all. Courtesy of my Momo. All right. I think that's okay. If the light was changing, I'm so very sorry, but whatever. So yeah, so we got all them people. Let's get on into it. So Tracy is in Duda's office, and he's like, well, since we defunded the police, we got all this money. So what would you do if you had $5 million for your organization? She's like, oh, all right. Because, again, that's the money that they would have spent even more, on the police. So might as well go to a good cause, right? So Troy comes busting up in there like, are you watching the news, nigga? Like, are you seeing what's going on? So they turn on the news, and the police officers are like, well, since Mayor Perry wants to defund the police, let's see how well the Chicago communities function without us. So again, we're seeing this big war, okay, between the black community and the police department, and how that's all gonna be, playing out. And so I don't think it's gonna play out that well, and we're really seeing all the enemies that Duda is making, which will lead up to him being shot. And again, we don't know, it could truly be anybody who shoots him. It can be someone who works with him, okay, Rose, Trig, Marcus. It could be law enforcement. It could be someone from the past. It can be one of these new characters, an old character. It could be literally anybody at this point. So I'm really interested to not see him get shot, but who did it and what their motive was, because so many people don't really like Duda. So then another scene, we have Marcus and Rose. They're really still trying to talk to him, talking about, look, dog, you really gotta slow your roll and be careful with the way you operating, because I'm trying to get the Olympics here, and if we got all this chaos, they not gonna try to come to Chicago. And Duda's like, listen, you wanting the Olympics to come here has everything to do with you and absolutely nothing to do with me. Do you understand? So, before that part, I'm sorry. Trig was in there, and Duda's telling him to leave out, and Tracy has this idea like, nah, he's offering a bunch of money. So if we can come up with a plan to help the community and use that money for good causes, we might have something. So she's in there, she as in Tracy's in there with Marcus and Rose and Duda, explaining what's going on. And for some reason, Rose is giving her slight, hella attitude, okay? Like, okay, you can go now. We don't need you. What? And I'm like, girl, didn't you just say she could sleep with your husband? Why are you giving her attitude? She ain't did nothing yet. What's wrong? What'd she do? So Tracy's like, girl, you don't want none. You don't want none with me. So she gives her proposition or whatever, and that's that on that. So then we got this community meeting with Tracy and Trig, and they're, got they're rallying up people saying, listen, we ain't got the police no more, all right? But we don't need them. If we can come together and get our heads on straight, we are forced to be reckoned with. Like, there's no telling what we could do. So then they get this call about an issue that's going on at an apartment or a home or whatever. And so we get there, and that's when we're introduced to Vic Mensa's character, Jamal. So Jamal and his girlfriend are having this dispute, this domestic violence type of dispute. They're fighting, they're arguing, and things like that. So Jamal ends up, they're trying to break it up, and Jamal ends up hitting Trig in the face. And I'm like, okay. If you watch the previews, it was like, okay, do y'all know each other? Do y'all got beef? What's going on, honey? But it was either purely by accident or just like, you know, out of frustration, whatever. So basically Trig is trying to talk to Jamal, saying, listen, all this carrying on is not good for the community, it's not good for your home, like what's going on? And so Jamal's not trying to hear it, but he ends up listening to him and softening up. So Trig is really being like a advocate for a lot of people. He's really trying his best to, you know, get his community back on track, because listen, we ain't got the police, we don't need them, but let's not give them a reason to think that we need them, correct? So then on the other end, we have Tracy. She's talking to the girlfriend whom Jamal was arguing with, and she's like, listen, if you want to stay with him, then y'all need to get some help. If you want to leave, I can help you with that. Boom, boom, boom. And we see a little girl, and at first I thought it was their daughter, but I believe, if I read the description correctly, the little girl was Jamal's younger sister, whom he's been taking care of since she was 3 or 4 years old. So the girlfriend is like, listen, I love him, I want us to be together, but I want us all to get help because it's been a lot, you know, going on. So Tracy's like, I can help with that. So we get to another meeting later on, and Duda comes and he's like, power to the people, I got y'all's back, vote for me, and and you know, we're gonna get the community back on track. Do you understand me? So Tracy's, you know, thoroughly impressed by his actions and his words and his involvement. So I don't know if Duda it's one of 3 reasons why Duda could be doing this, or maybe all 3. 1, to have, you know, the community backing him up in this election and just, you know, his campaigning and stuff like that. 2, because he's trying to prove a point to the police and, you know, those who are against him defunding the police. And 3, because he's trying to get into Tracy's draws. And well, one of those things happened. So I think it's a mixture of all 3. You know, maybe he does have a soft spot for the community and things like that, especially after what happened with Jake. I really feel like he's power tripping a little bit because he's trying to prove to the police and everybody who's on their side that they don't need him, or that, no, excuse me, he don't need them or whatever. And then he's just trying to impress Tracy. So, you know, they're talking a little bit, and he tells her that he's about to go home and relax. And little Miss Bold Tracy, she's like, well, can I join you? I said, girl, wait a minute. So she ends up joining him. So they're drinking and stuff. And then he's like, I like you. She's like, I like you too. And so they start kissing and ripping each other's clothes off, and they about to have sex. And again, we know Rose gave Tracy the green light. Like, if you want to smash my husband, go ahead. I don't mind sharing. But right here, I mean, the sis, she still live here. She could open the door and come in at any moment. And what did Rose do? She came in just that moment. So she comes in and puts her stuff down and is like, well, I see my invitation got lost in the mail. So they both kind of stop a little bit. I was like, for 2 people who got caught, y'all ain't moving fast enough for me. Y'all just like, oh, we got caught again. Like, y'all didn't move, y'all didn't cover yourselves up quickly enough for me. But anyway, so she starts making her way towards them, and I promise you, I thought she was about to join in with them. I just knew that was finna be the case. I knew my sis was finna join in with them, but she sat down on the end of the couch and she was like, well, don't stop now, I like to watch. So Duda's like, ugh, whatever. So he starts to walk off, and Tracy grabs his arm like, you know what, she want to see a show, let's give her a show. I said, don't tell me y'all finna do what I think y'all finna do. They get to the other couch, and you know, they kissing, and then they make their way down to the other couch, and they just start having sex right there in front of Rose. And Rose is turned on as can be and just watching. And that's how the episode went off. Child, when I tell you the episode went off, the music went off, the rolling credits rolled on by, they previewed the next episode, I was stuck like Chuck through all of that. I was like, And listen, the preview for next episode, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Trig gonna have 50-11 guns pointed to his head. Great. I think he was arguing with Nuck. And then we got Jake and Jimmy, they pulling a fire alarm and, you know, ditching school, it looks like. And then we're going to see Octavia again, which, you know, my auntie Tab, I love her. So we're going to see Octavia again, because I told y'all that the first episode was not going to be the last time we saw her. So it looks like Keisha's having some complications with the pregnancy, and Octavia's there to help. Okay. And you know, and Tracy's trying to leave and go home. I don't know how long she's been there, but she's over at Duda and Rose's house, and she's like, I just want to go home. And Candy's like, Rose, she's like, I can't let you do that. I'm like, don't tell me y'all finna hold the girl captive. What's going on? So listen, y'all. Like I've been saying, season 4 is really coming in with some heat. There are some people who's like, it's not really, it's kind of all over the place. There are a lot of storylines going on, but they're all really interesting to me, so I don't mind it. But honey, this episode had me stuck like Chuck. Do you understand me? And now I gotta wait all the way till Saturday night to watch the new episode. Oh my goodness. But it's all right. It's all right. But y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this recap. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Thank you for all the love and support. Make sure y'all comment your theories, your thoughts, opinions, and everything. And like the video, share it. And I will see y'all on the next one. I love y'all. Bye.